cognitive dissonance, the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude change. For instance, we all know that alcohol is technically poison, just a very weak poison, and yet we all drink it knowing it actually hurts us. Trust me, it's gonna make sense. Now cue that theremin. Hello and welcome to the Sometimes Serious podcast, where we're sometimes serious all the time. I'm your host, Philip Edwards, and as always, I'm joined by Michael Palmer.
Hello.
And Reese Tuckfield.
Hello.
Okay, we've got a big topic at the end, so let's get out some, just crack out some nice, easy, quick topics. The House of Lords in the UK has said that loot boxes have to be classified as gambling.
And I am ecstatic.
That is very good news.
Applause from everyone. Yeah, some of the quotes that are in the article that the BBC put out are so choice. The Lords basically are doing what Belgium did. That they're saying, while they don't technically class as gambling, we need to make them class as gambling because they're games of chance, which would bring them under the Gambling Act of 2005. The report, I love this quote, if a product looks like gambling and feels like gambling, it should be regulated as gambling.
Not wrong, are they?
Another one for you.
Can't fault them for that one.
No, you really can't. It's been so plainly obvious that, hey, this is gambling directed towards children. Maybe that's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a really bad thing on gambling to children.
A statement accompanying the report, said, the government must act immediately to bring loot boxes within the remit of gambling legislation and regulation. Just so tasty.
It's a good day, isn't it?
I imagine the android is beginning to sweat oil at hearing this.
But he's not sweating, he's crying. He is praying that this doesn't go through. He is just going, please no. I need to make that extra 1 billion. You don't know what I won't do without that.
Please, creator of my humanized shell, please don't let this be true.
Please, I won't be able to wipe my ass with golden plated toilet paper.
I'll make matters worse for good old Android. The Lord's report concludes that ministers should make new regulations which explicitly state that loot boxes are games of chance. It also says the same definition should apply to other in-game paid for with real money, such as FIFA player packs.
Yes.
They specifically mention FIFA in their report.
Oh, that is good. There's Andrew, he's there like, no, please no, please no. It's not like we're mentioning just all games. No, we're mentioning FIFA directly.
Yep. And I love it. Absolutely love it. I can begin to imagine that EA are going to start sweating out of their wallets in a minute. That's how nervous they are. They're just going to be sweating. Their wallets are going to sweat for them first, and then they're going to go, well, how can I afford to eat out every hour of every day for the rest of my life now?
I mean, at this rate, I won't become a trillionaire in 6 years. You don't need a trillion, so please stop. Yeah, they did back it up, and this was all based on a report that was done by the House of Commons not too long ago, last year, mid to end of last year, somewhere around then. So that basically means the two bodies of government we have in the UK have both said, this is gambling directed at children and we should legislate it immediately. I wonder when it's going to happen.
I do have to say, though, this is something that annoys me about politics in general. I can't speak for every country, obviously only having this country to go off, because this is the only country where I even pay even the vaguest amount of attention to politics. But the fact that so few of them are, how do I put this? In the age bracket for dealing with technology in a competent manner actually irks me. The issue we have with them being older than that bracket is the fact that they don't pay attention to it as much as they should.
Hmm.
And thus, this sort of stuff happens for too long before action is taken. I'd wager that if we had people, let's say our age bracket, although that would be somewhat unrealistic, so, plus 10 years at most, actually in there that had at least a decent interest in technology itself, it would have happened sooner. Wouldn't have happened as soon as it needed to, but it would have happened sooner.
I like the weird thing that this is all occurring after the loot box trend is actually kind of dying
Yeah.
down because the
It's not
peaked
you. You
Battlefront
don't.
2 and they fucked it for everyone. They ruined it for everyone because it just was so bad that it collapsed in on itself. And now everyone's kind of reeling back from it, knowing that loot box is such a dirty word.
Yeah, you can't really like most games nowadays. They don't have loot boxes anymore. Like, what was the last games that we all know that had loot boxes other than Star Wars Battlefront 2? Because after that,
Resident
kind
Evil
of-
Resistance.
Okay, I completely forgot about that game completely. Honestly, I didn't. Now you have said that. Yep, they have loot boxes, and it is filthy.
Is that the one that we all played
Yeah.
together? Okay.
Mhm.
We got- Yeah, it was the
I
4-player
just didn't.
co-op.
Yep. That had loot boxes that were specifically tied to progression. So your character would get stronger with a lucky find in a loot box. However, the loot boxes weren't paid. It was a whole nother debacle. The loot boxes weren't paid, but what you could pay for was XP boosters, which would earn you the loot boxes quicker.
So a nice little workaround to
Yeah,
avoid all
yeah.
of the laws and legislations. Yeah.
I
However,
put like a fast one on you. Just bend the rules to themselves. So technically, you're not paying for loot boxes. You're paying for XP boosters for loot boxes.
yeah, you're just paying for loot boxes with an extra step.
Yeah, it just takes you longer to get that loot box.
That's the equivalent of walking into a restaurant, ordering your food, paying for it, and then being told you need to go cook it.
Basically.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, it's
Sorry,
you
the
walk into
chef's
the
the
restaurant,
chef's having
pay
a
for your
quick fag
food.
break.
You walk in, sit down, order, pay for it. The chef then comes along and says, you're gonna have to cook this yourself. But if you give me an extra 20 quid, I'll help you cook some of it.
Yeah, but it's only going to be the vegetables. So that meat you want, and you want it rare, cook it yourself. What?
I mean, unless you want to give me a little more, you know,
No, so,
you know
All of a
what?
sudden, a dish
I was
that
gonna
had
go to
cost
Nando's.
£23 has cost you 80, just because you're like, but this is why I came out so that I didn't have to cook.
Well, yeah, except it's not 20 to 80. It's this 60 has turned into 200, 500, or in
Few
some
grand.
cases there have been children
keep
who have spent
increasing and
over
keep going up.
£4,000 in one night.
In one night.
Yep.
Ah,
don't even bother
know
asking
what?
for a drink.
Do you know what? I just as a slight tangent to this topic, but it is still related. Is it was some time ago now, and I don't know if you remember hearing about it. Back before mobile games, I say properly caught on, before they received as much attention as they do now, anyway. There was a game. It was some weird game where like zombies come scrolling down the screen. And you've got to flick, I don't know, shuriken or some rubbish at them, and a kid managed to spend about like 3, 4, 500, I want to say dollars, I think it was in America, buying more ammunition basically because the parent said, I didn't even think a game like that would have microtransactions in. And I remember reading that when I was at work one time because it was in one of the smaller sections of the newspapers, and I was looking and I was like, how do you not, like, how do you look at something and go, nah, this will be perfectly fine? Like, everything has something
Mhm.
about it, regardless if
Everything
it's to do
has-
with money or not. Everything has something about it.
Everything has some form of microtransaction. If it's not just like loot boxes, it's like extra lives, more credits, more crafting materials. There's always some form of microtransactions nowadays.
But that's what this law is attempting to target. When a game is rated that it's suitable for a 3-year-old, you should be able to stick a 3-year-old in front of it and not have to worry that you're suddenly going to lose 20 grand because clearly the game was not suitable for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
That's what the law's meant to target. Those mobile games are suitable for children. Clearly they're not. And game companies have gone away with it for far too long, and it's gonna happen. The interesting thing about it, depending on how they implement it, but if you go off what the House of Commons said months back, they were going to target any like paid thing that was directed towards children. That pretty much covers every video game, because
Yeah.
all you have to do as a prosecutor is prove that children play that game. Hey
Which is every
GTA,
game.
So GTA, yeah.
hey COD,
Yeah.
doesn't matter that you
GTA.
slap that 18 on it. I can prove children play it, and I can prove you don't stop them from playing it. And because I can prove that you knowingly have these children on here and don't stop them, I can sue you into oblivion and back.
Could they actually prove that they know that this account is a child account?
Yes.
Yeah.
How? Because I
They monitor
genuinely
voice
do not know.
communications, they monitor metrics. They know who is a child and who isn't. Just because you then sign a 40-odd page waiver at the start going, yeah, I accept all your terms and conditions, I accept the EULA, I accept all that, that doesn't overwrite basic law. Companies like to think it does, but it actually doesn't. There are laws
is
set down by the land.
Yeah, this is a conversation I've had with people in the past on various different subjects where, company policy and stuff like that does not supersede the law. I get that. I just didn't know if, say, Rockstar in this instance actually were the ones monitoring it, or if they paid for a third party to monitor it and only certain things were passed on to them.
Well, that's the thing. Even if they were paying a third party to monitor all of the data that comes through, which I doubt very much that they are, they will definitely be doing it in-house. But if they pay for a third-party company, and the third-party company doesn't pass along that data, Rockstar's still liable. Because that data was there, and you asked them to collect that data, and then you were selectively deaf. You went, la 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 la, don't want to hear that bit, la 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 la. Oh, but that bit I'll listen to. You're still liable.
Yeah.
Just because
Bang.
because GTA is, rated 18, anyone under 18 shouldn't really play it, but people still do, because there's no real stopping them from doing it. And just Rockstar will just go, we know there's children playing our games. Just because they don't want to admit it, it's still there. Children are still playing it.
That's the thing. These game companies watch YouTube videos. They watch and listen to the discourse that happens online. How many YouTube videos of GTA, and I know we're picking on GTA unnecessarily, but how many videos of GTA have you seen where you've heard a child talking over the headset?
How many games of Call of Duty or Halo have you played where you've had some child tell you what they have done or are going to do with your parents?
Exactly.
Too many times.
And they know this, and it's out there. So yeah, initially they might not get got by it. Like in the first 3 months, a company would be safe by going, "We didn't know." And then after 3 months, we know you checked these videos because you do bug reports and you patch stuff, and most of that stuff is done in YouTube videos. So we know you do.
I would like to very quickly ask though, if they're going to do this, and so we'll be able to hold them accountable for minors playing games aimed at adults. So in this instance, again, GTA, COD, all of that. I feel like there's probably not much that the company themselves can do, the company being the developers of the video game, publishers, etc., to stop minors from playing games they shouldn't in the future.
Hmm.
But the only way that we could do that is if we entered a really horrendous authoritarian state
Or
and demanded proof of identification and age.
yeah, I totally agree that would be the wrong way. There is another side to it, a way that game companies can still play blissfully ignorant
Which is?
and get away with children playing their 18 rated games. Stop putting gambling in them.
Yeah.
Job done. Stop putting seedy microtransactions into your games. Then you can have all the children play it as much as you want because you rated it 18. So, anyone who's under 18 shouldn't be playing it. Naughty, naughty.
But I've got a question as well. See, I know I'm going to bring up GTA again, and this might be the last time we bring up GTA. GTA is unique because it's you to buy directly money. It's not a loot box. The moment you've got that, you can do whatever you want with it. Would that still be under gambling, or would that not be? Because you're just buying it directly.
That
It wouldn't
itself
come under
wouldn't
gambling.
be. No, but the game does have depictions of gambling, and the buying the money is a microtransaction. And that's also what they're looking at.
The law is very sweeping, and if it's done right, they are going to target pretty much every microtransaction, because a lot of people don't seem to realize that just cosmetic microtransactions where you just pay for a skin directly is still manipulative.
Yeah, just for like instance, the Apex collection event just came out, and it is expensive. It is fucking expensive to buy everything.
See,
It's almost like they want to get you to spend money.
I I always like when this topic comes up in conversation with us. I always think back to the amount of times I've gone, oh, I like that skin, I'll buy that. And then in recent times, I immediately remember the patent for matchmaking that was filed, where people would be matchmade against people with rare skins.
Yeah, rare.
Just
very
to
rare equipment.
incentivize. Oh, I want that. Let's buy a pack. Like
Keep that
I
in
knew
mind
it was
because
happening, but having it actually on paper, admitting that it's happening, is just a different kind of feeling altogether.
yeah, keep that in mind because the theme of today's show is cognitive dissonance, and what you've just described is cognitive dissonance, where you know it's seedy, you know it's bad, and you still do it. And we will be discussing cognitive dissonance later. That's why I brought it up. Let's
No, officer, I did not have a drink.
I didn't want to cover this. I really didn't. Like, really didn't. You guys know this story because we've discussed this story in private, and I've made my feelings very clear. But I also feel like we have to say it publicly. The Doctor disrespect permanent ban situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll just give you a quick rundown because this is literally just my little tirade. It annoys the hell out of me the amount of people I've seen coming up with utter crazy nonsense and
Crackpot conspiracy theories.
yeah. So quick backstory: he got Doctor Disrespect got permanent banned from Twitch, had his Discord partnership revoked. The reason behind, like why he was banned, is not known. Twitch will not tell anyone, and that's actually their policy. A lot of people are saying that it's deliberate or whatever. Twitch has never told anyone. The 2 times that they have told, they literally just said you breached the terms of service. They didn't say what part specifically, they just said you breached terms of service. But they've never, ever come out publicly or made public statements or even said to the creator why they were banned. So people were going crazy over that. Then Rod Slasher Breslow, everyone knows Slasher, he tweeted out that he had been told the reason why. And the reason why was sensitive and complicated, and he didn't feel comfortable sharing why, but he had multiple trusted sources who had told him why. Then Dr. Disrespect tweeted out saying that Twitch hadn't told him. So everyone jumped on Slasher. Everyone jumped on Slasher, attacking him, telling him that he's terrible. Oh, you're the worst. Oh, you're just lying. Oh, you're just clout chasing. Oh, how do you know? But Dr. Disrespect doesn't. Oh, anonymous sources. Oh, so some guy on 4chan just messaged you. No, you utter idiots.
Yeah.
Slasher actually showed a great deal of journalistic integrity. When he got the information, he sat on it. There are a few reasons. I reckon it's more reason 2. I'll give you the 3 reasons, the 3 possible reasons. Reason number 1, there's some legal trouble. Meaning that Dr. Disrespect is about to get sued or is in the process of getting sued.
Mm-hmm.
And if Slasher talks about it, then without hard evidence, without him being able to stamp hard evidence on it, he can get sued for defamation, so he wouldn't cover it. However, that's never stopped him before. Game companies can sue the living hell out of him for breaching NDAs, or, well, to be fair, he's never signed an NDA, for breaching a lot of privacy by him leaking stuff. They could sue him. They could probably succeed in suing him, but that never stops him, so I don't really think that might be the issue. The one I think is most likely is if he tells us what he knows, he reveals his source.
Yeah, and he would want to protect that source.
Massive problem.
See? You guys are smarter than 90% of the people on the internet. Revealing your source is not something a journalist does. If your source says, I want to remain anonymous, that doesn't mean some 4chan shit poster. What that means is someone you trust has come to you and said, this is the situation, here I can prove it, but don't use my name. Because if you use my name, I lose my job.
Yeah, that's just the whole point of what anonymous means is I don't want to be known, so here's some information, just keep my name and who I am out of it. I don't want anything to do with this, but I still want to help you.
Think how many times in video games stuff has leaked from anonymous sources, stuff that has been true, and you're there just like, if even the slightest mistake was made with any of those, we'd suddenly hear about someone losing their job.
Yeah. Think about many employees or people inside game companies would lose their job just because they just want to say, I want to be anonymous and don't reveal this because if you do, I'll lose my job.
I think the better phrasing of it, because I hear a lot of people, attack, anonymous, so it's just a 4chan poster, it's just some guy who created some fake account. Rather than say an anonymous source, say a source who wishes to remain anonymous. Because you know the source, but the source does not want themselves to be revealed.
Yeah, it's all in the wording, and a lot of people forget how much of a difference saying something a specific way actually makes.
Exactly. I'm glad you guys are smarter than 90% of the people on the internet and can immediately look at that and go,
Thing is, that's 9% of the internet, and we all know there's fucking stupid people on the internet.
Yep. There's one other possibility, and I'm going to say this for legal reasons and for reasons that we'll get into later. This is purely speculation. There are some moving trends in the industry that would point to this, and there have been some completely unconfirmed reports. So this is purely speculation. But the third reason is there's a sexual assault allegation against Dr. Disrespect. Slasher has shown many times throughout all of his coverage, when someone brings that kind of allegation forward, he will link to it, he won't echo it. Because he doesn't feel that he should be the one to tell their stories. They should. So it is possible, especially with the big wave of people who have been getting kicked off Twitch for exactly that reason, that Dr. Disrespect has a sexual assault allegation against him. And again, this is all just speculation. I want to keep prefacing that this is all just speculation. This is just running a wild theory. If it is reason number 3, then Twitch believes it 100%.
Yeah.
Twitch have credible evidence because they wouldn't have kicked him off otherwise.
Yeah, because Dr. Disrespect, that's a big name. He's a big streamer, he's very popular, and Twitch just wouldn't randomly, out of the blue, just kick him out just for no reason. They've got to have like a good reason, and that's a good reason to kick him off.
See, I know it's all speculation. Sorry, I know it's all speculation. But if it were that reason, I feel like there would have been a bit more of a hoo-ha about it. I get he's a big name, and I've only watched snippets of him. Not a massive fan. I mean, you know, fine, if you like him, fair enough, you go ahead. But for me, just doesn't do it. And given how big a name this is, I really don't think it would be as discreetly handled as it's being.
I reckon if number 3 is even remotely true, if there is someone's accused Dr. Disrespect, I reckon it's probably a combination of 1 and 2. I reckon someone brought it to Twitch with evidence. Twitch has acted on it. Slasher, has been told, but it's not his story to tell. And even if he did tell it, it would be revealed who told him.
Because things like this is serious. It's nothing. Take it lightly. It's not like it's a big story, and this is a legal matter which the police should take care of.
That's the thing. If it's that serious that Twitch have acted on it, again, this is all just complete speculation because we have no idea if it even is this, but if it is, then there is legal trouble, which also ties Slasher's hands for point 1 as well. So it's highly possible that all 3 points coexist at the same time. One last thing I want to say on it, and then you guys can say anything you want on it. Not literally anything. Please be sensitive. I also saw a lot of people going, "Oh, well, Twitch are in the wrong. Oh, whatever Twitch has is all lies because YouTube didn't cancel their partnership with him." Now, that's just a misunderstanding of how YouTube policy works. YouTube will keep up a channel until you are found guilty. YouTube are very good that way. Do you guys remember, what was his name? The guy who was a singer who directed all of his content at teenage girls, who was basically Austin Jones. That's the one. Thank you. They didn't remove his channel until he was found guilty. The moment they went, bang, guilty, your channel's gone. Family of 5, same thing happened there. Until he was actually guilty, the Family of 5 channel was still going. Then, okay, you're actually guilty, you're gone. Get the fuck off.
Yeah, but that's how you do it. You're innocent until proven guilty. That's how it's meant to work, isn't it? So,
always in the case of social media.
Yeah, no, not in the case of social media, but legally speaking, you are innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly. Twitch
so I think it's a good way to do it. Doesn't
necessarily apply by those rules.
No, but that's because they're their own platform. Yeah. You and I have had this conversation before over what we think is right and how things should be handled, and the way that platforms such as YouTube, Twitch, etc. do actually handle it. And you've constantly reminded me that no, this is their own platform. Certain things don't apply. You know, they have the right to go, no, shut up. And, you know, but the amount of times I've said I don't think that's right because of X, Y, and Z, and we've had this discussion, but I think the way that YouTube do it, where innocent till proven guilty, is essentially the right way to do it, because it's not just the current movement or anything like that, but there are a lot of different topics where people could accuse any individual of something illegal or underhanded in any way, and unless you've got evidence, it's completely unfounded, and it could just be taken as a personal attack. And there are a lot of people out there that would do it just for the sake of doing it, not because it's true, not because there's any line there that
Any
would,
form of justice.
yeah, but not, they would just do it because they could, rather than because that person seems like the sort of person. They would just do it just because.
I'm not going to cover the story here, but what you've just hit on is, if you haven't heard, someone made accusations or allegations against Angry Joe. So I would encourage people to look those up. I'm not going to tell the story here because it's not
Not our place.
I'm circling it in my head. It kind of is, but then, you know what? Just a quick synopsis. Someone made these allegations against Angry Joe. He completely refuted them, and the lady in question has removed them after being thoroughly debunked. If YouTube was like Twitch, Angry Joe would have lost everything.
Yeah, Angry Joe would have. The moment they went up, Angry Joe's channel would have just disappeared. It would have gone.
And he quite openly and factually defended himself and was like, "This is all lies," and it was pretty easily and cleanly picked apart. And yep,
it reminds me of the sort of caliber of rubbish that I don't know if you remember this. I say it some time ago. I actually can't remember how long ago. I think it was before last year though, where this woman was unconscious, drowning in a lake. This guy saved her, chest compressions, all of that, and she took him to court over sexual assault or something like that, because he didn't have her permission to touch her. And it was like, I can't believe the absolute arseholery of you to do that. Someone saved your life, and you've just gone,
and you
didn't have permission to touch me. Like, what? What? Genuinely confused.
Okay. Who's ready to get depressed? That there is one other thing we could touch on just real quick before, but this is kind of a nice segue into it. We'll touch on it. I'm just postponing it because I'm not looking forward to talking about it. Have you guys seen the Marvel Avengers game? I actually had no interest in that game.
I've seen the announcement trailer that they originally did.
Only the announcement trailer when they were fighting on Golden Gate Bridge.
It kind of just looked like, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But I would actually highly recommend you go look up, because they recently did a war table on it, where they actually sat and went through some gameplay, and they explained how, because they're going to have co-op, they explained a bunch of stuff about it. I'm actually kind of hyped for it. Like, I'm looking at it as being like, you know what? I'm probably going to pick it up. Because actually, they've said that all of the content that comes out, like new maps, new heroes, etc., is all going to be free, and how they're going to get their recurrent user spending is costumes. You will be able to earn a selection of costumes, but there will also be paid cosmetics for each character. I'm fine with that, because
they've got to make their money somehow after launch. They've got to have to know, since season passes don't exist anymore. Microtransactions are basically being shot in the grave.
Well, I'm fine with them doing it. I'm fine, cool, because let's be honest, I'm probably going to pick the original, like the OG outfits for every character and go, well, this is the best outfit. This is the one that you know.
Yeah.
So, no, go away. So most of that's probably going to be nonsense. And, I'm not heavily invested in Marvel. If it was DC, I'd probably be buying every skin. Because they'd be like, well, here's a Batman Hellbat armor. And I'd be like, buy!
Yeah,
shall we
like
be thankful then that you don't like fighting games? Because otherwise Injustice 2 would be your downfall.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because Injustice 2, I still don't have Hellbat armor.
Well, that's because it's going to be probably the most difficult to get because Hellbat is Hellbat and Hellbat
Yeah.
rules.
There's a reason that I don't own Injustice 2. So, let's leave that alone.
It's not because he doesn't like the game or because he'd get absorbed into the DC. It's because every time I'd see it, I'd go on a DC rant and be like, "Oh, you're playing this? Oh, have you played this person yet? What about this person? Oh, did you know
Yeah,
this
no,
story happens with this person and
that
this thing?"
that would happen, and then I'd go, "Oh, really?" And then he'd start talking about, "Oh, what they're wearing." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, they've got that in the game. Oh, wow, that looks really nice. How much is it? Oh, that's quite reasonable." Looks at bank account about 4 hours later. How did I spend that much money?
I was gonna
Oh,
say, there's no skins in Injustice. It's armor, which you have to get from microtransactions
yeah,
or just the timed events or like
yeah.
the multiverse challenges.
But I would say everyone should go out and just look up some gameplay of it. Admittedly, it's all still kind of cloak and dagger, and I still don't have like a full grasp on it. But I don't know. It feels like there's something there that could be quite enjoyable. They have said that that everything is doable solo. Because if you go in solo to the co-op missions, you just get 3 AI buddies, and you get to pick
Mm.
who the AI buddies are playing as. So if they're going to be Hulk or blah blah blah,
Yeah,
and you get to select their
yeah.
gear, and you know, it actually seems kind of in depth, and I was kind of like, wow, you guys have done a really terrible job at marketing this because it's coming out in September, I think, and I only
Yeah.
just care about it now.
Wait, does it come out in September?
I think it's
Yeah, it
September.
does. Yeah, because
I don't-
the
I
thing that was
thought-
brought up was when Cyberpunk initially got pushed back to September.
Well, to be fair, that's
Um,
a fair point because everyone was talking about Cyberpunk, weren't they?
Yeah, but the things like PC Gamer and places like that were talking about, they're like, oh, that means that it's going to release next to this game and that game, and that's when the Marvel game popped up again, briefly by name only.
Okay, is everyone ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I've been noticing a really quite annoying trend. It's always me hosting when we talk about the really terrible, dark things of humanity.
In that case, I will definitely say this. I had the option to bring up this topic last week with less information, and I did not feel I was. I did not feel I could do it justice. So I decided
Yeah.
not to. Philip and I had this conversation, and I did say, I don't want to do it. I don't feel comfortable bringing it up.
I will say there has been some major developments in the past week, but let's just get it out of the way. We're going to be talking about the Me Too movement in video game systems, in the video game industry, sorry. But before we jump into anything, I literally wrote a little diatribe just because I have to read this off before we actually discuss anything. Just because we've got to preface this correctly because this is incredibly sensitive. First thing, I won't be telling individual people's stories. I, like Slasher, feel that it's their story. If they have come to terms with it enough to come out and speak about it publicly, you should go listen to them. Don't listen to me telling their story. Listen to them. I don't feel it's right for me to tell their story. Second thing, and this is I wasn't quite sure how to word this one, so I'm going to say delicate. When it came to the Black Lives Matter topic, we were tentative, deliberate, delicate. Tentative, I feel, is the best one. We were tentative in our coverage, mainly because as a bunch of white guys living in the UK, we don't really have a concept of what it's like for black people living in the US. However, this is different. When it comes to this kind of topic, after some private conversations I've had, I will say that at least one member of the Sometimes Serious show is a sexual assault survivor. That's all that's going to be said on that. They don't want their story shared. But because of that, we it sounds like we got our card to talk about it, but we do have some area of expertise here. We're not completely unknowledgeable about this topic. And third, and this one kind of kind of hit me. While everyone else forgot, I refuse to forget Alec Haluka. You guys may remember last year, Zoe Quinn accused him of sexual assault. She had no evidence. The internet dogpiled on him, and he committed suicide.
Yeah,
So
I remember.
Because of that, I'm also going to show respect to the men in the situation, because, as we discussed with the Angry Joe one, not all of them will be true. I somewhat suspect a lot of them will be, but not all of them will be. And I am not going to contribute to that. I am not going to be even slightly partially responsible for someone killing themselves because some woman made up a false allegation against him. I'm looking directly at you, Zoe Quinn, and now Amber Heard. Johnny Depp didn't kill himself, but you almost ruined his career. And that's pretty confidently and consistently been proven to be bullshit. Which is why I'm willing to mention her name.
I will say that those false allegations that are made actually anger me to a point of a more base primal rage. It actually brings out the biggest amount of hatred in me.
Yep.
I cannot stand people that do that. I still can't understand why there are people who are like that. Why there are people who think that that's okay. So, my message to anyone that is suffering because of a false allegation is that don't take it to the point of no return. Purely because prove them wrong. Prove absolutely every one of those false allegations wrong. Show that they are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let them have that day, because otherwise it's going to keep happening more and more.
Yep.
So don't do it.
I'm absolutely with you there. It disgusts me because not only just I know it's a huge part of the topic, but let's forget about the man you're accusing. When it's proven false, do you know how much harder you've just made it for every other person who is sexually assaulted? Do you know how much harder you've made it for them?
It becomes
disgusting.
increasingly difficult. And the last thing I'll say before you get more into this topic is that men do suffer this. And a lot of people that I've seen on the internet over many years I've seen varying sides where people have gone, it's disgusting that men don't have an outlet for this, etc., etc. But I've also seen the ugly side where people go, but men can't suffer the acts of rape and stuff like that. Unless you are a man, unless you know what it is to actually be a man from birth, you don't get to weigh in on that topic. Because you do not experience the same biological reactions that we do.
Reese, you said you had something you want to say before we...
It's also just as well with people that bring out false allegations. It's just made it a lot harder now to believe the real ones. Because now I don't like it. Because every time now I hear one, I don't know if I should trust them or not. Because I'm not sure if they're just lying for their teeth or they're actually being genuine. I don't know anymore. And it just makes it so much harder. And especially if it is a false allegation, what are they trying to get out of it? Just to ruin someone's career? Just to ruin someone's life? Because it has happened. A man with that allegation on them, and with that on them, their life is ruined. They can't do anything now. They're ruined. And things like that of men killing themselves the moment they get that, that's not uncommon. It's just because the moment they get that labelled on them, they're ruined. They can't really get any work. They're most definitely fired from their job. Everyone on the internet, if they are someone like on YouTube, a streamer, someone who's in like the gaming industry or anything, any industry whatsoever, if they've got like a loud voice, they're ruined. Everyone hates them. Everyone in that industry now hates them. Everyone in that industry now knows them for all the wrong reasons. And it will ruin someone. And I don't understand why people do it. They just bring out false allegations, but just to ruin someone's life, just because.
It's
It is honestly
it's a weird
sickening.
double-edged sword because the way people like the way that people are treated is the correct way if they are guilty. If for instance, well, let's use him because we've already mentioned him, Austin Jones. He is correctly got that stigma on him forever. He will never find decent employment again. He will never be able to come back into the public eye again, and he will never be able to use that power to abuse children again. Quite rightly. I think it's perfectly just and perfectly right for him to suffer the way he is suffering. If you're innocent, it's a whole different ballgame. Let's crack on. What do you guys know about the current Me Too movement in the video game industry?
I know that a fair few top dogs in some developments have been accused with stories coming out of their actions at sort of like work social gatherings, stuff like that. I know at least one person stepped down. I can't remember
I
their
think I
name.
know who you're talking about. We will cover him.
Yeah, I like I say, I can't remember the name, but I know the general gist. I've read some of the stories. I've read some of the stories of people's own encounters with certain individuals and stuff like that, and have, I've just sort of spent far too much time, you know, increasing the amount of depression that I suffer by because of it,
Yeah.
but because it needs to be known.
Yeah. I can say I was gonna get a comprehensive list, and just so I could have the list, but honestly, with how much is coming out and how rapidly this situation is evolving and how many are coming out, it's nigh impossible to do that. I had a pretty comprehensive list until this morning. When do you guys know Evo Online? It's like a tournament group. They're a like esports tournament
Yes,
group.
Yeah, I
yes,
believe I do.
I know.
I'm pretty sure I read it. A bunch of their members had allegations, and Evo's now pretty much done. And they're not the only ones to go through that. This has permeated this industry from top to bottom. Everyone from YouTubers, streamers, game players, content creators, to developers, producers, and CEOs. This is everywhere. And I feel like this is time that everyone should kind of, sit up, pull your collar up, get ready to listen, because this has gone on far too long in this industry, and I love this industry, and I don't want to see it burn. But I think we need a fire because
Big one.
it's terrible.
I would like
Go
to
on.
say with just quickly with the you asked how much we knew when I responded. I'd like to say it's not just this industry this happens in. It's this industry that we're covering because that's what we're about as this channel, but also because at the moment it's becoming the fastest, loudest movement
Yeah,
in terms of the industry for the Me Too movement. And I would encourage anyone in any industry that has had to suffer any of this to come forward. If you've genuinely suffered it, do, because nothing will be done about it otherwise. We understand that there are certain individuals that until legal proceedings start will be essentially, and I use this term loosely, protected by the company because of the work they've done, all of that rubbish. It happens. It's disgusting, but it does happen. But the only way that you can stop that is to come forward. It just so happens that at the moment, the loudest movement of this is in our industry because it's the fastest growing one at the moment of recording.
Yep. Like, it's the whole analogy for the Black Lives Matter thing again, where everyone was saying that when people were going, "Oh, all lives matter." Yes, all lives matter. But if there's a row of houses and one of them's on fire, and you call the fire brigade and they spray water across all the houses equally, that's not really the issue. Yes, all the houses are equal, but that one's on fire. There are plenty of fires, except right now, the Me Too movement is the biggest raging fire in the street of houses. There are other smaller fires, and we should definitely get to those fires, and we should definitely be paying attention to those fires. But this one's a bloody raging inferno. Let's maybe kick out some of these goddamn terrible human beings that are in there still pouring gasoline. Let's get rid of them.
I'd like to correct you. I don't consider them human.
Yeah, to be fair,
they're not.
it's one of the weird things that I went through when I was setting up for this topic, and I was writing everything down, and I was kind of sitting there thinking, Jesus Christ, the people who must be shitting themselves, the people who must be getting so worried that this is going to come knock on their door, and then it just hit me like a wave, and I was just like, what the fuck am I worried about? Don't be a scumbag and you'll be fine. Don't be a complete trash bag and you will be A-okay. That's literally it. Show basic human decency and you're gonna be fine. And I know lots of people mock it like, so a man can't even court a woman anymore. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Because your version of courting is going up to a woman at a bar and grabbing her ass. That's not courting. That's you being a predator. Stop.
That's assault.
Yeah, that's assault.
I do have to say there does seem to be a lot of that noise coming out as well.
Yep.
And to everyone that does that, I will echo exactly what you've just said. But also, maybe, get off the internet. Back in like the 1920s and a little bit after, piano players, if they did the wrong thing, couldn't play the piano anymore. Wouldn't it be a shame if you couldn't be a keyboard warrior anymore?
Yep.
Let's cover, because I have two names that I am going to bring up, and the reason I'm going to bring them up is because I'm willing to state that I believe the allegations against them are true, and I will apologise if I'm wrong, but I think the evidence is kind of overwhelming at this point, so I'm like, they haven't been legally prosecuted, so again, just to stop us getting sued, in my opinion, and allegedly, you're going to be hearing those a lot, but the first one we're going to tackle, because these will lead into the next point I want to turn this into, Chris Avalon. Chris Avalon has had a bunch of allegations against him. Everyone's cut ties with him. A lot of the allegations are corroborating. In my opinion, it's very likely he has. And what I want to bring up real quick is Chris Avalon's quite a famous writer for video games. And trust me, there is a reason I bring this up. He's the co-founder of Obsidian. The legendary game company who makes the greatest RPGs.
That's why I know the name, thank you.
He was a writer on Fallout New Vegas, a writer on Jedi Fallen Order, a writer on Prey, and one of the lead writers in Dying Light 2, which is coming out soon. And there is plenty of other work he's been responsible for. The other person I wanted to bring up was someone Menzies vaguely mentioned earlier but didn't know his name. Ashraf Ishmael. Again, Allegedly, and in my opinion, I think he's guilty because his actions and all of the evidence points me to believe he is guilty. Here's what he is most well known for. He's the creative director of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. He's the top of the pyramid. He's the one who drove that entire project forward, and it's all built off his ideas. His statement was, "I'm stepping down from my beloved project to properly deal with the personal issues in my life. The lives of my family and my own are shattered. I'm deeply sorry to everyone hurt in this." Now, I had a discussion with Menzies in private, and I told him my opinion of it, and I said what I'm about to say, and Menzies pointed out quite rightly to me that if I say it's my opinion, then am I okay? Because this is what I believe.
Because it is his opinion, and I am of the same opinion.
I believe the fact that he stepped down and has issued that statement categorically defines him as guilty.
Yeah.
He's admitting it.
He
hasn't openly
guilty.
said it. Well, he actually did. "I'm deeply sorry to everyone hurt in this."
Yeah. He knows he's guilty, but he wants to do a bit of damage control to make him sound like a decent human being, but everyone knows that's guilty.
Yeah. But this is just our opinion.
Exactly.
This is not hard evidence.
Yeah. And again, I will go online. I will go online. I will go on the line and be willing to stake my reputation on it. And I don't often do it, but I will abjectly and just completely, I will dedicate a segment in one of the podcasts I host to apologizing if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I will be open and say, I was wrong. I was completely wrong about it. I will be open and I will say that. I don't think I am. But if I am, you have my guarantee I will apologize outright. Now, there's a reason I brought up those two in particular. When I heard about Ashraf Ishmael, and he's the head of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The game is basically built on his shoulders. I found myself in a weird position. For the first time in the gaming industry, in all of our time playing video games, the cognitive dissonance I have about this industry failed. I will not be picking up Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
No, neither will I.
I cannot support him. And okay, he's no longer on the project, but the project was built by him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's no longer part of the project.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if he's a part of it. He still made it. That's still the work of a terrible person. That's still the work of an evil person.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm glad that you both said that. I 100% agree. I will preface this by saying I 100% agree, because same. But I've seen a lot of people online who have said or have put forward the idea of separating work from person. So, not excusing their actions. That's not what they're trying to do here. They're just trying to say, are we not able to support the studio by buying games that these people have worked on and separate that person's work from their behaviour? So, if they are a writer, just, hey, they wrote that game, they were a terrible person, and we, let's not give them loads of recognition, but can we at least admire the game? Stuff like that. Because when I read that, I saw what they were trying to say, and saw what they were trying to go for, and understood what they wanted. But a massive part of me was just sort of screaming internally, no, you can't. Because everything that they have touched is now tainted.
Yeah.
I agree to a certain point. That there is definitely a separation. You can make a separation between liking Michael Jackson's music and him being a paedophile. I can't make that distinction.
No, I can't.
But it is possible. However, when the work is so intrinsically linked, if he was just, I drew this piece of art, all right, I'll get Valhalla. The thing is, Valhalla is so intrinsically linked to him. It's so
Yeah,
linked, and it's
because
based
he,
off
yeah.
him. So because it's his work, it's too intrinsically linked that I don't think you can make the separation. When it comes to supporting the studio, this is why I brought up cognitive dissonance repeatedly. It's kind of cast everything in a brand new light for me because that cognitive dissonance failed. I can't support Ubisoft. Ubisoft
Yeah.
is full of terrible business practices, and the amount of executives who are at the top of the pyramid who have stepped down amidst sexual assault allegations. I'm not bringing up their stories because I'm not as confident
Mm-hmm.
about their stories, but the amount that have is astonishing. That company is rotten. Rotten to the core, from top to bottom, from the base of the pyramid right to the tippy top. I cannot buy another Ubisoft product until they have had radical change and have given at least some guarantee that the women who work there, who have earned their place, who have worked to the fucking bone to get into that studio, who were working 100-hour weeks, 150-hour weeks, until you've given me some kind of guarantee that they are not going to suffer at the hands of some fucking perverted dick just because he's on a power trip, I can't support you at all in any
Mm-hmm.
way, shape, or form.
It's not like the fact that it's one or two. It's a lot of Ubisoft. It's very high ups. It's very low. It's more like everyone.
It's
Ubisoft
everywhere.
is just corrupt. It's rotten.
I I mentioned other industries because it does happen. I'm not naming names. I'm not saying who, where, or when. I have seen a male person be somewhat overbearing towards a female employee. It's angering, especially when you know you're not actually in a position to be able to do anything substantial
Mm-hmm.
about it. You're not going to have an effect by simply speaking up to the person and telling them your thoughts. And it's angering that it happens so often. I honestly, it's one of those things a lot of people don't like to think about. Makes them uncomfortable. And good, because if it didn't make you uncomfortable, I would actually seriously have to question your stability.
Mm-hmm.
Morale.
But yeah, that. But it's when people turn a blind eye to it with the whole, well, that's just them being them. No, it's not.
No,
You mentioned
can't.
power trip. How often do you see people in positions of power abuse that position of power? Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily have to be for the current topic we are on, but that power trip happens to so many people, and the fact that it happens in this form, I it's a good thing a great many things are illegal. I will say
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I
not. I'm not happy at all.
I hope. I always looked at, there are certain subsections of the internet where they're quoted as saying, sometimes I have to turn off that part of my brain just so I can enjoy something. And I always kind of looked at that and mocked, and I was thinking, how sad do you have to be to get into that fucking situation where you have to turn off part of your brain so you can actually enjoy something? I get it now. I get it. I'm not sure I can look at certain video games the same way. And okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we're in blissful ignorance right now about EA and Activision. Blissful ignorance. Oh, everything's fine there. Do I think everything is fine there? No. Do I think stories will come out? Almost certainly. And
Yeah.
when they do, yes, I can't play any of those games anymore because I ain't supporting them. I'm just outright not supporting those people. And
I
I know, I know it kind of hurts the guys at the bottom of the ladder, the developers who are in there working their ass off, and I know they're just trying to make the best product they can. I get it. You're still going to get paid your salary. You're still going to get laid off when your contract ends, just because that's the way the gaming industry works.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have job
yeah.
security because the industry is cancer. And I hate to use that reference, but industry is cancer.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect you. If the sales plummet, it's not going to affect you because guess what? At the end of your contract, you're still going to get laid off. Just
I
what they do.
I what in terms of actually playing the video games, the thing that annoys me now is for ages you were always telling me about how amazing New Vegas was,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
not gonna be
only
able to look at
within
it the
the
same way now.
last yeah, it was only within the last what 6 to 8 months I actually started to play it on and off. You know, I'm not the biggest Fallout fan, but I did want to give it a go. So I started playing it on and off, and now this happens, and I'm just like, ah,
Yep.
no,
I can't play
just
anyone else.
no.
I I would say that Chris Avalon, he is no longer working for Obsidian, and they have distanced themselves completely and have abjectly gone, no, he ain't part of us and he won't ever be again. What he did was disgusting. I think it's
Okay, but sorry, my question to that is, how long did they know though? How long did they at
yep,
least suspect?
yep.
Same goes with
Yeah.
any one of them. If you even had an inkling of a suspicion, why would you not? Why would you not treat it with delicacy and in a very clandestine manner actually look into it? Why would you be that willfully ignorant about it? Because
To be
right
fair,
now it's going to be coming back and biting you in the arse.
Yeah. Because now I can't
to
look
be
at
fair,
Ubisoft or Obsidian anymore now, the same way I
well,
used to.
I will actually fight for Obsidian here a little bit. I'm not fully on their side, and I'm not saying, yeah, you can play Obsidian games. What I'm saying is, we don't know. He was a co-founder. He's no longer a co-founder, and they have completely disavowed him. So what could have happened, and I'm not saying it has, but I'm saying this is a hypothetical. What could have happened is the other co-founders knew, got rid of him. And if that's the case, yes, go Obsidian. If that's not the
Mhm.
case, you're complicit and you got some work to do to make it up.
Yeah. Because things like that, I don't know how people know things like that and just keep their mouth shut. When do your morality just kick in and just go, this is unacceptable?
Well, that's the thing. The people lower down on the ladder, I get it. I get it because if you speak up, you lose your job, and if you lose your job, you're not getting hired anywhere else. Especially, I hate doing it because the amount of times I've been on the side of I get it. Women have a harder time in with certain things in the industry, but men have a harder time with certain things in the industry. You know, but if you're talented, you will rise. It's just not the fucking case, though, is it? Because there are some executives who are scumbags who actually put markers on certain women and go, well, I was reading a piece from Frankie Ward, I want to say her name is. She hosted the PC game show with that dude. I can't remember his name,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah,
Frankie Ward.
yeah, yeah.
And she did this whole post about how what she's done in the industry and how it's affected her, etc., etc., etc. And part of it, she was saying how um, she had heard people say behind her back, executives say behind her back, we really like that she fights for equality, but she might need to tone it down a bit. Or, we really hate that when we interview her, she makes it all about her.
What?
You goddamn scumbags. You're interviewing her. That's the goddamn point, is to make it about her. She's trying to
Yeah.
sell herself to you to go, I'm amazing, you should hire me. It's about her. She's fighting for equality, but we feel she should, rein it back in a bit. No, equality is the baseline. Equality is the default. That is the line, and that is where it is. It blows my mind. This whole industry is, oh God, we need to burn it down.
Yeah. There's there's so much wrong. You don't realize how much wrong there is until you hear stories like this. How
I wish there were more avenues and options for the survivors of sexual assault to actually go to and come out about their experiences.
Yep.
Because, quite frankly, I don't care where you are on the ladder. You do anything like that, you should never have any job ever again. And also, in my opinion, just because, just because of the whole taxes and that, don't let them go on the dole either. I don't want to be paying for them.
To be
Just
fair,
don't.
I think they should be allowed to be employed again. I just don't think they should be in any kind of position of power ever again. And I also don't think they should be able to
But-
interact on a regular basis with the human race. You
But
gave up
even
that
if
right.
even if they weren't in a position of power beforehand, they just shouldn't be allowed full stop. You
Yeah.
can't, you've proven that you cannot be trusted. So why should anyone hire you? Why should you be allowed any job?
I mean, to be fair, it's going to sound like I'm degrading the profession, but bricklaying, I think bricklayers are perfectly honourable. I don't actually rate any profession above others because all the jobs need doing. So I have respect for everyone who does them.
What's
But
the saying? If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
exactly. But as a bricklayer, you're not going to have any power over any women. You're not going to be able to sexually assault any women. And most likely, if you do something like that, the other bricklayers on the site are going to take you out back and beat the living shit out of you. And that's kind of what you deserve.
I'd also like to point out, as I know a few of them, not only from my, I was going to call it my day job. It's not like we do this at night. My, my other job. And because I know some people personally as well who used to be long distance lorry drivers. And some of the stories I've heard from back in the, I'm going to say heyday, but, quote unquote, was very much a, hey, we stand united. You do something to us, trust me, we'll do it to you. Worse.
Yep. So, you know what? There are certain employment avenues for them, but all those employment avenues equal, hey, you want to go grope a woman inappropriately when she doesn't want it and she hasn't given you informed, enthusiastic consent. You're not going to have a good day, bud. You're really not. I think I think that probably rounds up our tirade, doesn't it? You guys have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, my
Don't be
closing
fucking
thought
assholes.
is, yeah, don't be a dick. Yet again, for the second time, don't be a dick.
Be a monster.
Also, to add on to the don't be a dick, don't think with your dick. Just don't. It's never a good idea. Doesn't lead to anything good. I'm sure there are people out there who've been well and truly plastered and have thought something would be a great idea and they've done something monumentally stupid. And even if it's only negatively affected them, it's still negatively affected. So maybe stop. Think.
I've got one. It's real simple, real easy thought experiment to do. If you're an executive and you've called this female employee into your office and you're kind of sitting on the desk looking at her condescendingly, pretending to listen to what she's saying whilst you're just eyeing her tits. Take just a fraction of a second and think, how would you feel if someone was doing this to your daughter? You'd want to cut their fucking head off. So maybe as a general rule, don't do something that will make someone want to cut your fucking head off. I think that's just a fair and reasonable rule.
It's
Somehow,
been 2 podcasts that we've had to say don't be a dick.
yeah. You just can't believe like people would still do this and still think that they're in the right and still think they're half decent human beings.
Now for a really hard whiplash, and I'm throwing it on his shoulders. Bring us out of this darkness. Time for Menzies is mildly interesting.
That entirely depends on which number Reese picks. Reese, pick a number between 1 and 40. Can't be 23.
You know what? I want to pick 23 now.
Yeah, but it can't be 23. It was picked, and that's the rule that I made up. Now you just can't pick 23.
25.
I just
Then
like,
in that case, I would
you
like
can't
to
break my
say,
rules that I made up.
I will say that hopefully this one will bring us a bit of happiness. At birth, a baby panther is smaller than a mouse.
I'm that entire species really should have died out. We're just forcing them to keep living because some people find them cute. That race should have died out long ago.
That's because
Just
they're too lazy to breed, but never mind.
okay. So, thank you all for joining us for another week. It was a lot heavier and more serious than usual, but hope you're at least entertained by our ramblings and our rantings and our enragement at the video game industry. I must say, I'm glad. I'm glad to know that my two fellow, I don't know what to call you, these two idiots with me
That's better.
also have had their cognitive
Yep, that's
dissonance
it.
shaken, and they now, I thought it was just me, and I thought I was going crazy more than usual. But I'm glad. Be sure to check back tomorrow for what's going to be a, let's say, special Sunday show. It's a little project we've been working on for quite a while, and
We're mixing up what the Sunday show is. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
we threw it together. I actually really, really hope that you guys enjoy it. Please let me know what you think of it. It's kind of my baby. Please don't be too harsh. And now to copy Menzies, it's a goodbye from me, a goodbye from Menzies,
Goodbye.
a goodbye from Reese.
Goodbye.
Stay safe out there.